Two neighboring states share a border that stretches for hundreds of miles, yet one has become home to over 7.2 million Americans, while the other houses just 4.6 million. Kentucky and Tennessee were once separated by less than 500,000 people, but today the gap between them has grown into a chasm that reveals something fascinating about how geography, economics, and policy decisions shape where people choose to build their lives. Tennessee now attracts new residents at nearly triple Kentucky's rate, creating a population shift that continues to accelerate each year. What happened between these sister states that caused such a dramatic transformation in their fortunes? The numbers tell a stark story. The numbers paint a picture that would shock anyone familiar with these states just 70 years ago. Tennessee now houses 7.2 million residents, while Kentucky maintains 4.6 million people. That represents a difference of over 2.6 million Americans who call Tennessee home instead of its northern neighbor. The raw numbers tell only part of the story, because this gap represents the culmination of decades of divergent paths that have fundamentally altered the demographic landscape of the American South. Back in 1950, these two states painted a completely different picture. Kentucky actually held a slight population advantage with 2.9 million residents compared to Tennessee's 3.3 million. The difference amounted to fewer than 400,000 people, and most demographers expected the states to grow at similar rates given their shared geographic position and cultural heritage. Both states emerged from World War II with similar economic foundations built on agriculture, manufacturing, and natural resource extraction. Their populations reflected comparable rural and urban distributions, with neither state showing clear advantages in attracting new residents or retaining existing ones. The transformation began in the 1960s and accelerated through each subsequent decade. Tennessee started pulling ahead gradually at first, then with increasing momentum. By 1980, Tennessee had opened up a gap of nearly 800,000 residents. The 1990s saw that gap expand to 1.2 million people. The new millennium brought even more dramatic divergence as Tennessee added residents at an unprecedented pace, while Kentucky's growth stagnated. Each census count revealed Tennessee extending its lead by hundreds of thousands of additional residents. Current migration data shows Tennessee continuing to widen this gap at an alarming rate from Kentucky's perspective. Tennessee attracts approximately 120,000 new residents annually through domestic migration, while Kentucky manages to gain only about 45,000 people per year. That represents nearly a 3-to-1 advantage in population attraction that compounds annually. Tennessee's growth rate of 1.6% per year far exceeds Kentucky's modest 0.7% annual increase. At these rates, Tennessee will house over 8.5 million people by 2030, while Kentucky will barely reach 4.8 million residents. These numbers become even more puzzling when geography enters the equation. Kentucky actually covers 40,409 square miles compared to Tennessee's 42,144 square miles. The difference amounts to less than 2,000 square miles, or roughly 4% more land area in Tennessee. Kentucky's slightly smaller size should theoretically make population concentrations easier to achieve and infrastructure more efficient to build. Instead, the opposite has occurred, with Tennessee supporting nearly 171 people per square mile, while Kentucky manages only 114 residents per square mile. The population density gap reveals that Tennessee has become dramatically more successful at attracting people to settle within its borders. Migration patterns reveal deeper truths about American demographic shifts that extend far beyond these two states. Tennessee represents one of the fastest-growing states in the entire nation, ranking consistently in the top 10 for population growth over the past 2 decades. Kentucky, meanwhile, ranks in the bottom half of states for population attraction and has lost ground relative to national averages. The divergence reflects broader trends in American migration, where certain states have developed magnetic qualities that draw residents from across the country, while others struggle to maintain their existing populations. Population growth carries enormous implications that extend far beyond simple demographic curiosity. Congressional representation directly correlates with population counts measured every 10 years through the national census. Tennessee has gained congressional seats in recent reapportionments, while Kentucky has lost representation in the House of Representatives. Federal funding formulas tie billions of dollars in government spending to population figures, affecting everything from highway construction to education support to healthcare programs. States with growing populations receive increasing shares of federal resources, while declining states face budget pressures and reduced political influence. Economic opportunities multiply in states that attract new residents because growing populations create expanding markets for goods and services. Businesses gravitate toward areas with increasing customer bases and growing workforces. The population advantage creates a feedback loop where growth attracts more businesses, which provide more jobs, which draw more residents, which attract additional businesses. Kentucky faces the opposite dynamic, where slow population growth limits market expansion and reduces the state's attractiveness to major employers considering expansion or relocation decisions. The political implications extend beyond congressional representation to include presidential elections and national political influence. Tennessee's growing population increases its importance in national campaigns, while Kentucky's relative decline reduces its political leverage. Electoral votes shift based on population counts, giving growing states more influence in presidential elections. Tennessee has gained electoral significance, while Kentucky has seen its national political importance diminish relative to faster-growing states across the South and West. Understanding what drives this population shift requires examining the specific factors that make Tennessee attractive to millions of Americans, while Kentucky fails to generate similar appeal. The reasons go far beyond simple economic opportunities or demographic trends. They involve complex interactions between natural advantages and strategic decisions that have created a self-reinforcing cycle of growth in Tennessee and stagnation in Kentucky. The foundation of Tennessee's success begins with advantages that were established long before modern migration patterns emerged. The geographic foundation of success. Tennessee's elongated shape stretches 432 miles from east to west, while measuring only 112 miles from north to south, creating a natural corridor that accommodates major transportation routes crossing the American continent. This distinctive geography positions Tennessee as an inevitable waypoint for commerce and travel moving between the Atlantic coast and the western United States. Kentucky presents a markedly different profile, with dimensions of 380 miles east to west and 180 miles north to south, creating a more compact rectangular shape that limits opportunities for major interstate highways and rail networks to traverse the state longitudinally. Transportation planners naturally route major corridors through Tennessee's wider east-west expanse, rather than attempting to navigate Kentucky's more constrained geographic envelope. The result places Tennessee squarely in the path of American commerce, while Kentucky occupies a more peripheral position relative to major transportation flows. Tennessee serves as the geographic bridge between America's industrial heartland and the rapidly growing southeastern states, with interstate highways and rail networks naturally funneling through the state when moving freight and passengers between major metropolitan areas like Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland in the north, and Atlanta, Miami, and Houston in the south. Location analysis reveals that Tennessee places businesses and residents within a single day's drive of approximately 75% of the American population. This accessibility advantage proves particularly valuable for manufacturing companies seeking to minimize transportation costs and delivery times to major markets. Kentucky's position places the state within similar driving distance to roughly 65% of the national population, a meaningful disadvantage when companies evaluate potential locations for major facilities. The 10% difference in population accessibility translates into millions of potential customers and billions of dollars in economic activity that naturally gravitates toward Tennessee. Major interstate highways demonstrate Tennessee's transportation advantages through their routing patterns across the American landscape. Interstate 40 runs directly through Tennessee's midsection, connecting Los Angeles to Wilmington, North Carolina, and carrying massive volumes of transcontinental freight traffic. Interstate 75 enters Tennessee from Kentucky and continues south through major cities like Knoxville and Chattanooga before reaching Florida, creating another vital north-south corridor. Interstate 65 bisects Tennessee from Nashville south to the Gulf Coast, providing additional connectivity to growing southeastern markets. These three major interstates intersect within Tennessee, creating a transportation hub that Kentucky cannot replicate given its more northern position and different geographic orientation. Kentucky's interstate system includes portions of I-75, I-65, and I-64, but lacks the comprehensive network that makes Tennessee a natural logistics center. Interstate 64 runs east-west through Kentucky, but connects less economically dynamic regions compared to Tennessee's major corridors. The absence of a major east-west interstate comparable to I-40 limits Kentucky's role in transcontinental commerce. Kentucky's interstate network serves regional transportation needs effectively, but fails to position the state as an essential waypoint for national freight movement and long-distance travel. Rail transportation networks reinforce Tennessee's geographic advantages through similar routing patterns that favor the state's elongated shape and central position. Major freight railroads, including CSX, Norfolk Southern, and BNSF, operate extensive networks through Tennessee, connecting ports, manufacturing centers, and distribution hubs across multiple regions. Tennessee's geography accommodates rail lines that can maintain relatively gentle grades and direct routes between major economic centers. Railroad companies have invested billions of dollars in Tennessee infrastructure, recognizing the state's strategic importance for efficient freight movement across the American continent. Kentucky's mountainous eastern region creates significant barriers to transportation development that Tennessee's river valley geography avoids entirely. The Appalachian Mountains extend deep into eastern Kentucky, creating terrain that requires expensive tunneling and extensive grading for highway and rail construction. These geographic obstacles increase construction costs and limit the feasibility of major transportation projects. Tennessee's landscape includes the Cumberland Plateau and portions of the Appalachian foothills, but the state's major population and economic centers developed in river valleys that provide natural corridors for transportation infrastructure. The Tennessee River system creates additional geographic advantages by providing navigable waterways that connect the state to the broader Mississippi River network. This river access enables barge transportation of bulk commodities like coal, grain, and petroleum products at costs significantly lower than truck or rail transport. Tennessee's connection to the Mississippi River system through the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers provides direct water access to international markets via the Port of New Orleans. Kentucky possesses Ohio River access along its northern border, but lacks the comprehensive river network that gives Tennessee multiple water transportation options. This exemplifies how Tennessee leverages geographic advantages into economic development through its position on the Mississippi River. The city serves as a major inland port, handling millions of tons of cargo annually while providing intermodal connections between river barge, rail, and truck transportation. Distribution and logistics companies consistently choose Tennessee locations over Kentucky alternatives when establishing major facilities serving regional or national markets. FedEx built its global hub in Memphis specifically because of the city's central location and transportation connections. Manufacturing companies follow similar location logic when evaluating sites for production facilities serving multiple regional markets. Automotive manufacturers including Nissan, General Motors, and Volkswagen have established major assembly plants in Tennessee partly because the state's geographic position minimizes transportation costs for both incoming components and finished vehicle distribution. These manufacturing facilities employ thousands of workers while supporting additional jobs in supplier companies and service industries. The compounding effect of geographic advantages creates a self-reinforcing cycle where Tennessee's natural transportation position attracts businesses, which then draw workers and families seeking employment opportunities. Each new major employer strengthens Tennessee's economic foundation while adding to the population base that makes the state even more attractive to future business investment. These geographic foundations have enabled Tennessee to develop something Kentucky struggles to match: major metropolitan areas that serve as magnets for population growth and economic development. The metro area advantage. Nashville has transformed into a massive 2.3 million person metropolitan area that dwarfs Louisville's 1.4 million residents by nearly 1 million people. This gap represents more than just numbers because it demonstrates how Tennessee has successfully concentrated population growth in major urban centers, while Kentucky struggles to achieve similar metropolitan expansion. Nashville's explosive growth has created a gravitational pull that extends far beyond Tennessee's borders, drawing residents from across the southeastern United States, including significant numbers from Kentucky itself. Memphis maintains 1.3 million residents despite facing various economic challenges over recent decades, while Lexington struggles to reach 600,000 people in its metropolitan area. The comparison reveals that even Tennessee's second-largest metropolitan area nearly matches the combined population of Kentucky's two primary urban centers. Memphis benefits from its position on the Mississippi River and its role as a major logistics hub, which continues to attract businesses and workers even during periods of urban decline in other Rust Belt cities. Lexington, meanwhile, represents Kentucky's second-largest metropolitan area, but fails to generate the economic momentum necessary to compete with Tennessee's major urban centers for new residents and business investment. Nashville's transformation from a regional city known primarily for country music into a national destination represents one of the most remarkable urban success stories in modern American history. 2 decades ago, Nashville functioned as a mid-sized southern city with limited appeal beyond its entertainment industry and regional banking sector. The metropolitan area housed fewer than 1.2 million residents and ranked well below cities like Louisville in terms of economic diversity and national recognition. Today, Nashville attracts major corporations relocating from expensive coastal markets while drawing young professionals from across the country seeking career opportunities in a lower-cost environment with urban amenities. Tennessee's 4 major metropolitan areas create a network effect that Kentucky's 2 primary cities cannot match regardless of their individual growth rates. Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, and Chattanooga each serve distinct economic functions while supporting each other through transportation connections, business relationships, and shared infrastructure investments. Nashville functions as the state capital and major business center, while Memphis serves as a logistics and distribution hub. Knoxville anchors the eastern region with the University of Tennessee and nuclear research facilities, while Chattanooga has reinvented itself as a technology and outdoor recreation center. This distributed network allows Tennessee to capture different types of economic activity and population growth across multiple regions. Kentucky's metropolitan structure relies heavily on Louisville and Lexington, with no other cities approaching significant size or economic influence. Louisville serves as the state's largest city and primary economic center, but lacks the diverse industry base that makes Nashville attractive to a broader range of businesses and workers. Lexington functions as the state's second city, anchored by the University of Kentucky and horse industry, but struggles to generate the economic momentum necessary for sustained population growth. The absence of additional major metropolitan areas limits Kentucky's ability to distribute economic development across different regions, while concentrating too much dependence on just two urban centers. Urban planning and annexation policies have allowed Tennessee cities to capture suburban growth more effectively than Kentucky's more restrictive approach to municipal expansion. Nashville has aggressively annexed surrounding communities and unincorporated areas, enabling the city to maintain tax revenue from suburban development while providing municipal services to growing areas. This strategy allows Nashville to capture the economic benefits of suburban growth while maintaining political control over land use decisions that affect the entire metropolitan region. Memphis has followed similar annexation strategies despite facing different economic challenges, allowing the city to maintain its population base even during periods of urban core decline. Kentucky cities face more restrictive annexation laws that limit their ability to capture suburban growth and expand municipal boundaries. Louisville completed a major city-county merger in 2003 that created Metro Louisville, but this consolidation came decades after similar efforts in Tennessee cities had already established their competitive advantages. Lexington operates under a merged city-county government, but covers a smaller geographic area that limits opportunities for significant population growth through territorial expansion. Economic diversity represents a fundamental advantage for Tennessee metropolitan areas compared to Kentucky's more limited industrial base concentrated in Louisville and Lexington. Louisville's economy depends heavily on shipping logistics through its Ohio River port position, manufacturing, including automotive and appliance production and healthcare systems. While these industries provide stable employment, they offer less diversity than Nashville's broader economic base and fewer opportunities for rapid career advancement that attracts young professionals. Lexington relies on the University of Kentucky horse industry, agriculture, and some manufacturing, but lacks the economic diversity necessary to compete with Tennessee cities for major corporate relocations or startup activity. Chattanooga and Knoxville provide additional population centers that distribute growth across Tennessee rather than concentrating all development in one or two metropolitan areas. Chattanooga houses approximately 550,000 residents in its metropolitan area, while Knoxville supports nearly 900,000 people. These cities offer employment opportunities, government services, cultural amenities, and educational institutions that keep residents within Tennessee rather than forcing them to migrate to other states for career advancement. Kentucky lacks comparable third and fourth tier cities that could distribute population growth beyond Louisville and Lexington. Bowling Green represents Kentucky's third largest city, but supports fewer than 180,000 metropolitan residents. Brain drain represents perhaps the most damaging aspect of Kentucky's metropolitan disadvantage, as college graduates increasingly choose Tennessee's larger job markets over limited opportunities within their home state. Kentucky universities produce thousands of graduates annually, but the state's metropolitan areas cannot provide sufficient career opportunities in growing industries that appeal to educated workers. Tennessee's diverse metropolitan job markets attract these Kentucky graduates, along with similar talent from other southeastern states, creating a concentration of skilled workers that supports continued economic growth and business attraction. The metropolitan advantage creates a self-reinforcing cycle where population growth attracts businesses which provide employment opportunities that draw additional residents who support more business development. This dynamic has transformed Tennessee's urban centers into economic powerhouses that extend their influence far beyond traditional boundaries. The Music City Economic Engine. Nashville's economic transformation over the past 3 decades represents one of the most dramatic urban reinventions in American history, extending far beyond the country music industry that originally put the city on the map. The city that once functioned primarily as a regional center for recording studios and music publishing has evolved into a diversified economic powerhouse that competes with established business centers like Atlanta, Charlotte, and Dallas, for major corporate investments and skilled workers. This economic expansion has created employment opportunities across multiple industries, while establishing Nashville as a destination for professionals seeking career advancement in a lower-cost environment compared to expensive coastal markets. Healthcare services have emerged as Nashville's largest economic sector, transforming the city into a national medical center that rivals traditional healthcare hubs like Houston and Cleveland. HCA Healthcare operates its global headquarters from Nashville while managing over 180 hospitals across 20 states and the United Kingdom. The company employs more than 15,000 workers in the Nashville metropolitan area, ranging from corporate executives to medical researchers to administrative support staff. Community Health Systems, another major healthcare corporation, maintains its headquarters in nearby Franklin, Tennessee, adding thousands of additional healthcare industry jobs to the regional economy. These companies have attracted numerous suppliers, consultants, and service providers, creating a healthcare ecosystem that supports tens of thousands of jobs beyond the primary employers. The concentration of healthcare companies has transformed Nashville into a center for medical innovation and research, attracting biotechnology firms, pharmaceutical companies, and medical device manufacturers. Vanderbilt University Medical Center has expanded its research operations while partnering with private companies to commercialize medical discoveries and treatments. The presence of major healthcare employers creates demand for specialized services, including medical consulting, health insurance administration, and healthcare technology development. Nashville now hosts annual medical conferences and trade shows that bring thousands of visitors to the city, while showcasing the region's healthcare capabilities to potential investors and partners. Technology companies have discovered Nashville's advantages, creating explosive growth in what industry insiders call Silicon Hills, reflecting the concentration of tech startups and established firms choosing Nashville over traditional technology centers. The technology sector encompasses software development, data analytics, cybersecurity, healthcare technology, and financial technology companies that serve both regional and national markets. Major corporations, including Amazon, Microsoft, and Oracle, have established significant operations in Nashville, taking advantage of lower operating costs and access to skilled workers from local universities. The technology workforce has grown from fewer than 20,000 workers in 2010 to over 80,000 employees by 2025, representing one of the fastest-growing tech ecosystems in the southeastern United States. Nashville's music industry has evolved far beyond country music into a comprehensive entertainment and media ecosystem that attracts creative professionals from Los Angeles, New York, and other expensive entertainment centers. The city now produces television shows, films, podcasts, and digital content for national and international distribution. Music Row continues to function as a major recording and publishing center, but has expanded to include pop rock, hip-hop, and electronic music production. The entertainment industry supports not only musicians and producers, but also sound engineers, video editors, marketing professionals, and technology specialists who create and distribute content across multiple platforms. Financial services represent another major component of Nashville's economic diversification, as the city has emerged as a regional banking and investment center, competing with traditional financial hubs like Charlotte and Atlanta. Pinnacle Financial Partners, First Horizon Bank, and other regional financial institutions have expanded their operations, while national banks have established significant presence in Nashville. The financial technology sector has grown rapidly, with companies developing payment processing systems, mobile banking applications, and investment management platforms. Insurance companies, including life, health, and property insurers, have relocated operations to Nashville, attracted by lower costs and available office space in modern facilities. Vanderbilt University anchors Nashville's knowledge economy by producing thousands of graduates annually while conducting research that attracts federal funding and private investment. The university's medical school, business school, and engineering programs supply skilled workers to local companies, while university research activities have spawned numerous startup companies. Belmont University, Tennessee State University, and other local institutions contribute additional graduates and research capabilities. The concentration of higher education institutions creates a pipeline of educated workers that supports continued business attraction and economic growth. Louisville's economic structure presents a stark contrast to Nashville's diversified base, with heavier reliance on traditional manufacturing, shipping, and logistics industries that offer fewer opportunities for rapid growth and economic expansion. Ford Motor Company operates a major assembly plant in Louisville, while General Electric Appliances maintains manufacturing facilities, but these traditional industries face global competition and automation pressures that limit employment growth. The Port of Louisville handles significant cargo volumes through Ohio River shipping, but lacks the economic multiplier effects generated by Nashville's diverse service industries. Nashville's business-friendly policies have attracted numerous corporate relocations from higher-cost markets, including California, New York, and other expensive metropolitan areas. The Tennessee Valley Authority provides reliable electricity at competitive rates, while state and local governments offer streamlined permitting processes for new businesses. Major corporations, including Alliance Bernstein Bridgestone Americas and Nissan North America, have relocated headquarters or major operations to Nashville, citing cost advantages and business climate benefits. The economic transformation has created powerful multiplier effects, where each new major employer attracts suppliers, service providers, and additional businesses that support continued growth and job creation. Healthcare companies attract medical equipment suppliers, pharmaceutical distributors, and healthcare consulting firms. Technology companies draw software developers, cybersecurity specialists, and data center operators. Entertainment companies support equipment rental facilities, recording studios, and marketing agencies. Each industry cluster creates demand for restaurants, hotels, retail establishments, and personal services that employ additional workers and contribute to population growth. Nashville's economic diversification has established a sustainable growth model that generates employment opportunities across multiple skill levels and education backgrounds, while reducing dependence on any single industry or major employer. The city attracts entry-level workers seeking opportunities in growing industries, while providing career advancement paths that retain educated professionals who might otherwise migrate to other metropolitan areas. This economic foundation supports continued population growth while providing the tax revenue necessary to fund infrastructure improvements, educational investments, and quality-of-life amenities that make Nashville attractive to new residents and businesses. Yet beyond these economic advantages lies an even more direct financial incentive that draws Americans across state lines: the tax policy divide. Tennessee's complete absence of state income tax on wages and salaries represents the most powerful financial magnet, drawing millions of Americans southward across the Kentucky border. This tax advantage creates an immediate and measurable benefit for anyone considering relocation between these neighboring states. Workers keeping their entire paycheck without state income tax deductions discover they can maintain identical living standards while building wealth faster than counterparts in Kentucky who surrender portions of their earnings to state tax collectors. Kentucky operates a progressive income tax system that extracts up to 5% from higher-earning residents, creating substantial financial penalties for professional success and career advancement. A software engineer earning $80,000 annually in Louisville pays $4,000 in Kentucky state income taxes, while an identical position in Nashville requires zero state income tax payments. That $4,000 annual difference compounds dramatically over a typical career spanning 3 decades. The Kentucky resident pays approximately $120,000 in state income taxes during their working years, while their Tennessee counterpart keeps every dollar for personal use investment or retirement savings. High-income professionals face even more dramatic tax differentials that make Tennessee relocation financially compelling regardless of other considerations. Kentucky's top marginal rate applies to individuals earning more than $75,000 annually, affecting doctors, lawyers, engineers, executives, and other educated professionals who drive population growth in modern metropolitan areas. A physician earning $300,000 in Louisville pays $15,000 annually in Kentucky state income taxes, compared to zero payments for identical income in Nashville. Over a 25-year medical career, this difference amounts to $375,000 in additional disposable income for Tennessee residents. Retirees represent another demographic group particularly attracted to Tennessee's tax advantages because fixed incomes become more valuable when protected from state taxation. Kentucky taxes retirement income, including pensions, individual retirement account distributions, and Social Security benefits for higher-income retirees. Tennessee exempts most retirement income from state taxation, allowing retirees to stretch fixed incomes further while maintaining higher living standards. A retired couple receiving $60,000 annually from various retirement sources pays approximately $3,000 in Kentucky state income taxes, while identical income generates zero tax liability in Tennessee. Entrepreneurs and small business owners discover Tennessee's tax structure provides significant advantages for business formation and wealth accumulation compared to Kentucky's approach that taxes business income through personal returns. Tennessee's absence of personal income tax means sole proprietors partnerships and S-corporations avoid state taxation on business profits, while Kentucky extracts its progressive rates from identical earnings. A successful restaurant owner generating $100,000 in annual profit keeps the entire amount under Tennessee's tax system, while Kentucky claims $5,000 from identical business success. Tennessee funds essential state services through alternative revenue sources that avoid personal income taxation while maintaining adequate government operations and infrastructure investment. The state relies heavily on sales taxes that currently stand at 7% statewide, with local jurisdictions adding additional percentages that can push combined rates above 9% in major metropolitan areas. This sales tax approach shifts the tax burden toward consumption rather than income generation, encouraging savings and investment, while funding government services through spending decisions. Tennessee also collects substantial business taxes, corporate franchise fees, and excise taxes on specific industries that generate revenue without directly taxing individual wages and salaries. Property tax structures in both states create additional considerations for residents evaluating total tax burdens beyond income tax differences. Tennessee property tax rates average approximately 0.64% of assessed value, while Kentucky rates average 0.86%, creating modest advantages for Tennessee homeowners. A family owning a $300,000 home in Tennessee pays approximately $1,900 annually in property taxes, while identical property in Kentucky generates $2,600 in annual payments. Sales tax differences partially offset Tennessee's income tax advantages, but rarely eliminate the overall financial benefits of Tennessee residency for most income levels. Kentucky's statewide sales tax rate of 6% combined with local additions typically results in total rates between 6 and 7%, compared to Tennessee's higher rates approaching 9% in major cities. A family spending $30,000 annually on taxable goods pays approximately $900 more in Tennessee sales taxes compared to Kentucky rates. However, this additional sales tax burden rarely approaches the income tax savings that Tennessee residents enjoy, particularly for middle and upper income households. Business location decisions increasingly factor state tax policies into site selection processes, particularly for companies with mobile operations that can locate in multiple states, while serving identical markets. Professional services firms, consulting companies, and technology businesses often choose Tennessee locations specifically to reduce employee compensation costs while maintaining competitive salary levels. Companies can offer lower gross salaries in Tennessee while providing employees with higher take-home pay compared to Kentucky positions requiring higher gross compensation to offset state income tax obligations. The compounding effect of tax differences over typical career spans creates wealth accumulation opportunities that significantly impact lifetime financial outcomes for Tennessee residents compared to Kentucky counterparts. A college graduate beginning a career in Tennessee with a $40,000 starting salary saves $2,000 annually in state income taxes compared to identical Kentucky employment. Assuming modest salary growth and investment returns, this initial tax savings compounds to over $100,000 in additional wealth accumulation by retirement age. Kentucky attempts to remain competitive through various economic development incentives, tax credits, and business attraction programs that partially offset the state's income tax disadvantage. However, these targeted programs primarily benefit large corporations rather than individual residents who continue facing full income tax obligations. Small businesses and individual professionals receive limited relief from Kentucky's income tax burden, making Tennessee's blanket exemption more attractive for most residents and business owners. Tax policy differences represent the most direct and measurable factor driving interstate migration patterns between Kentucky and Tennessee because the financial benefits appear immediately in every paycheck while compounding over entire careers. Yet these tax advantages alone cannot explain Tennessee's sustained population growth without examining the underlying economic foundation that makes such favorable policies sustainable. The energy and industry transformation. Tennessee's strategic approach to energy development and industrial diversification created the stable economic foundation that Kentucky's resource-dependent model could never match. While Kentucky built its 20th century economy around coal extraction, Tennessee pursued energy diversification that emphasized long-term stability over short-term resource profits. This fundamental difference in energy strategy explains much of the population disparity between these neighboring states. Kentucky's eastern mountain regions housed thousands of mining operations that employed entire communities while generating substantial tax revenue for local governments. Coal mining dominated the state's industrial landscape so thoroughly that other energy sources received minimal development investment. This singular focus created prosperity during coal's peak years, but left Kentucky vulnerable when natural gas fracking, renewable energy adoption, and environmental regulations reduced demand for coal-fired electricity generation. Coal mining employment peaked during the 1970s and 1980s, when global energy demand supported high production levels and premium pricing for Appalachian coal. The structural decline of coal mining accelerated after 2010, when hydraulic fracturing made natural gas extraction economically viable across multiple states. Natural gas burned cleaner than coal while generating electricity at lower costs, making it the preferred fuel for new power plant construction. Environmental regulations targeting carbon emissions further reduced demand for coal-fired generation. These combined factors reduced Kentucky coal employment from over 18,000 workers in 2011 to fewer than 4,500 jobs by 2025, representing a devastating economic collapse for communities that depended on mining wages. Tennessee pursued a markedly different energy strategy through the Tennessee Valley Authority, which established nuclear power plants, hydroelectric facilities, and diverse generation sources across multiple regions. The TVA's early investment in nuclear power created a stable foundation for industrial development that avoided the boom and bust cycles affecting coal-dependent regions. Tennessee operates 3 nuclear facilities that generate approximately 40% of the state's electricity while providing baseload power that supports energy-intensive manufacturing operations. Nuclear plants require minimal fuel inputs while operating continuously for decades, providing predictable electricity costs that manufacturers value when evaluating potential facility locations. Hydroelectric power generation through the Tennessee River system provides additional energy advantages that Kentucky's geography cannot match despite the Ohio River's presence along the northern border. The TVA operates 29 hydroelectric dams that generate clean, renewable electricity while providing flood control, navigation improvements, and recreational opportunities that support tourism development. These facilities require minimal operating costs after initial construction while providing flexible power generation that responds quickly to changing electricity demand. The combination of nuclear and hydroelectric power gives Tennessee manufacturers access to some of the lowest industrial electricity rates in the United States. Tennessee's diversified energy infrastructure supported successful economic transformation from textiles and agriculture to advanced manufacturing, while Kentucky's resource extraction focus limited similar development opportunities. Tennessee actively recruited automotive, aerospace, and chemical manufacturers by highlighting reliable electricity supply, competitive energy costs, and available workforce training programs. The state's energy infrastructure could support large-scale manufacturing operations while providing room for continued industrial expansion. Major automotive manufacturers, including Nissan, General Motors, and Volkswagen, established significant production facilities in Tennessee, specifically citing energy cost advantages and supply reliability as factors in their location decisions. Nissan's Smyrna plant produces over 500,000 vehicles annually while employing more than 8,000 workers who earn wages substantially higher than typical manufacturing jobs. General Motors operates assembly facilities in Spring Hill that manufacture luxury sedans and crossover vehicles for national and international markets. Volkswagen's Chattanooga plant produces Passat and Atlas models while serving as the company's only United States manufacturing facility. Kentucky attracted some automotive manufacturing, including Ford's Louisville assembly plant and Toyota's Georgetown facility, but cannot match Tennessee's success in landing multiple major automotive investments. Ford's Louisville plant produces heavy-duty trucks and large SUVs while employing approximately 4,500 workers. Toyota's Georgetown facility manufactures Camry sedans while providing wages for roughly 9,000 employees. However, Kentucky's more limited automotive presence means fewer supplier companies choose Kentucky locations compared to Tennessee's automotive corridor that extends from Nashville through Chattanooga. The employment multiplier effects of Tennessee's diverse industrial base create additional job opportunities that support continued population growth, while Kentucky's boom and bust resource economy generates fewer sustained employment opportunities. Each automotive assembly job supports approximately 3 additional positions in supplier companies, transportation logistics, and local services. Manufacturing wages typically exceed service sector compensation while providing health insurance, retirement benefits, and advancement opportunities that attract workers from other states. Energy costs and reliability increasingly affect business location decisions as companies seek to minimize operating expenses while ensuring consistent production capabilities. Manufacturing operations require predictable electricity supply that allows continuous production without costly interruptions from power outages or voltage fluctuations. Tennessee's diversified energy portfolio provides redundancy that ensures continued electricity supply even when individual power plants require maintenance or face unexpected shutdowns. Kentucky's greater dependence on coal-fired generation creates vulnerability to fuel supply disruptions and plant closure decisions that affect electricity reliability and pricing. Tennessee's energy and industrial transformation demonstrates how strategic planning creates competitive advantages that compound over decades to produce measurable differences in population attraction and economic development. The state's diversified approach to energy production provided the stable foundation necessary for sustained industrial growth and population expansion. This economic transformation required substantial infrastructure investments that created additional advantages for Tennessee residents and businesses seeking reliable transportation networks, modern facilities, and quality services that support continued growth. The infrastructure investment gap. These investments created the foundation for sustained economic growth, but Tennessee's advantages extend beyond energy and manufacturing into comprehensive infrastructure development that Kentucky cannot match. Infrastructure quality assessments reveal dramatic differences between Tennessee and Kentucky that directly impact where Americans choose to establish residences and businesses. The 2025 engineering evaluations show Tennessee maintaining superior transportation, networks, educational facilities, and digital connectivity, while Kentucky struggles with aging infrastructure that creates daily inconveniences for residents and additional costs for businesses. Tennessee received higher grades across multiple infrastructure categories, including highways, bridges, airports, and broadband systems that form the foundation for modern economic activity. Tennessee's highway system demonstrates the state's commitment to transportation infrastructure through aggressive expansion and maintenance programs that have created some of the best road networks in the southeastern United States. The state consistently ranks among the top 10 states for highway quality, with smooth pavement, properly marked lanes, and well-designed interchanges that facilitate efficient traffic flow. Tennessee invested billions of dollars in interstate highway improvements over the past 2 decades, including major reconstruction projects on Interstate 40, Interstate 65, and Interstate 75 that carry heavy freight traffic between regional economic centers. These highway investments reduce transportation costs for businesses while improving safety and travel times for residents commuting between home and work locations. Kentucky's highway infrastructure presents a stark contrast with aging pavement systems that require frequent repairs and create higher vehicle operating costs for residents and businesses. The state's mountainous eastern regions present particular challenges for highway maintenance because steep grades and harsh weather conditions accelerate pavement deterioration. Kentucky receives lower federal highway ratings compared to Tennessee while struggling to fund necessary improvements that would bring road quality up to regional standards. Poor highway conditions increase shipping costs for businesses while creating frustration for residents who face longer commute times and higher vehicle maintenance expenses from driving on deteriorated road surfaces. Nashville's International Airport exemplifies Tennessee's strategic infrastructure investments that have transformed the facility into a major cargo and passenger hub, serving multiple southeastern states. The airport handled over 18 million passengers in 2024 while processing massive volumes of freight cargo that support regional distribution networks. Nashville's airport expansion projects include new runways, terminal facilities, and cargo handling systems that accommodate growth in both passenger travel and freight shipments. The facility attracts businesses that require frequent air travel or depend on expedited shipping services while providing residents with direct flights to major domestic and international destinations. Kentucky's airports cannot match Nashville's passenger volumes or cargo handling capabilities, despite Louisville's strategic location for freight distribution. Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport serves as a major UPS hub, but lacks the passenger service diversity that makes Nashville attractive to business travelers and tourists. Lexington's airport handles regional flights, but cannot support the international connections that businesses increasingly require for global operations. The limited airport infrastructure constrains Kentucky's ability to attract companies that depend on frequent air travel, while reducing the state's appeal to residents who value convenient access to domestic and international destinations. Broadband infrastructure investments have positioned Tennessee as a leader in digital connectivity that attracts remote workers, technology companies, and businesses requiring high-speed internet access. The state implemented comprehensive broadband expansion programs that extended fiber optic networks to rural areas while ensuring urban centers receive gigabit internet speeds that support modern business operations. Tennessee's broadband initiatives specifically targeted underserved communities that previously lacked reliable internet access, while encouraging private companies to expand network coverage through tax incentives and regulatory streamlining. Rural broadband access remains problematic in Kentucky, where mountainous terrain increases installation costs, while scattered population centers make network expansion less economically viable for private telecommunications companies. Kentucky residents in remote areas often depend on satellite internet connections that provide slower speeds and data limitations compared to fiber optic networks available in Tennessee communities. The digital divide affects economic development opportunities because businesses requiring high-speed internet avoid locations with inadequate broadband infrastructure. Education infrastructure represents another area where Tennessee's investments have created advantages that attract families and support long-term population growth. The state constructed new school buildings, upgraded existing facilities, and invested in educational technology that enhances learning opportunities for students at all grade levels. Tennessee's universities received substantial funding for research facilities, dormitory construction, and academic buildings that accommodate growing student populations while supporting research activities that attract federal grants and private partnerships. Kentucky's education infrastructure faces funding challenges that limit facility improvements and technology upgrades necessary to compete with Tennessee's superior educational offerings. Many Kentucky school districts operate in aging buildings that require expensive maintenance while lacking funds for modern technology that enhances educational outcomes. The state's universities struggle with deferred maintenance backlogs and limited research facility construction that constrains their ability to attract top faculty and graduate students. Infrastructure quality directly affects business operating costs through impacts on employee productivity, transportation expenses, and facility maintenance requirements. Companies operating in Tennessee benefit from superior highway systems that reduce freight transportation costs, while reliable electricity and broadband networks minimize operational disruptions. Employees working in Tennessee enjoy shorter commute times on better maintained roads, while having access to faster internet connections that support remote work flexibility. Tennessee's superior infrastructure creates measurable daily benefits that influence individual and business relocation decisions while supporting sustained population growth. Yet infrastructure represents only the foundation for what makes a state truly attractive to potential residents. The daily experience of living in Tennessee extends far beyond roads and internet connections into aspects of life that affect families on a personal level. The quality of life factor. Healthcare systems demonstrate Tennessee's clear advantages through concentrated world-class facilities and specialized treatment centers that Kentucky cannot match. Nashville functions as a major medical destination anchored by Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which provides comprehensive healthcare services while conducting advanced medical research that attracts patients from across the southeastern United States. HCA Healthcare operates multiple facilities throughout Tennessee, creating a network of hospitals and medical centers that offer consistent quality care across different regions. Memphis maintains strong healthcare infrastructure through institutions like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and the University of Tennessee Health Science Center that provides specialized treatments unavailable in many other southeastern locations. Kentucky's healthcare infrastructure lacks the concentration of major medical centers and specialized facilities that make Tennessee attractive to residents requiring advanced medical care. Louisville houses several quality hospitals, including Norton Healthcare Facilities and the University of Louisville Medical Complex, but cannot match Nashville's comprehensive healthcare ecosystem. Lexington provides regional healthcare services through UK healthcare, but lacks the breadth of medical specialties and research capabilities found in Tennessee's major medical centers. Rural areas in Kentucky face particular challenges accessing specialized healthcare services that require travel to distant urban centers, while Tennessee's distributed medical infrastructure provides better geographic coverage. Cultural amenities flourish in Tennessee cities, creating vibrant entertainment scenes that attract young professionals and families seeking diverse recreational options. Nashville's music industry extends far beyond country music to encompass rock, pop, hip-hop, and electronic genres that support numerous venues from small clubs to major amphitheaters. The city hosts multiple music festivals annually, including CMA Fest and Bonnaroo, that draw hundreds of thousands of visitors while showcasing local talent and national acts. Professional sports teams including the Tennessee Titans, Nashville Predators, and Nashville SC provide entertainment options that create community identity while attracting residents who value spectator sports experiences. Memphis contributes additional cultural attractions through its rich musical heritage, encompassing blues, soul, and rock history that created Beale Street, Graceland, and Sun Studio as internationally recognized destinations. Tennessee's 4 major metropolitan areas each offer distinct cultural identities that provide residents with diverse entertainment options without requiring relocation to other states. The concentration of cultural amenities creates network effects, where artists, performers, and creative professionals gravitate toward Tennessee cities that offer career opportunities and artistic communities. Kentucky's cultural scene remains more limited, with Louisville and Lexington providing regional entertainment options, but lacking the national recognition and diversity found in Tennessee cities. Louisville's Kentucky Derby creates annual international attention, but represents a single event rather than year-round cultural programming. The city maintains some live music venues and cultural institutions, but cannot compete with Nashville's comprehensive entertainment ecosystem. Outdoor recreation opportunities demonstrate Tennessee's geographic advantages through diverse landscapes that accommodate different activities and interests throughout the year. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park straddles the Tennessee-North Carolina border, providing hiking, camping, and scenic drives that attract millions of visitors annually. Tennessee's portion of the park includes popular destinations like Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge that offer family entertainment options alongside natural attractions. The Cumberland Plateau provides additional outdoor recreation through state parks that offer hiking, rock climbing, and water sports on numerous lakes and rivers created by Tennessee Valley Authority dam projects. Tennessee's climate provides outdoor recreation advantages through milder winters and longer growing seasons that extend opportunities for hiking, camping, boating, and other outdoor activities. Average winter temperatures remain above freezing in most Tennessee locations, while Kentucky experiences colder winters that limit outdoor activity seasons. The longer growing season supports better gardens and landscaping while reducing heating costs during winter months. Kentucky offers outdoor recreation through state parks and the Daniel Boone National Forest, but lacks the diversity of landscapes and climate advantages that make Tennessee more attractive for year-round outdoor activities. The state's more northern latitude creates shorter growing seasons and colder winters that limit outdoor recreation opportunities during several months annually. Educational advantages position Tennessee's universities higher in national rankings while providing better-funded public school systems that attract families with children. Vanderbilt University ranks among the top 20 national universities while providing research opportunities and cultural programming that benefit the broader Nashville community. The University of Tennessee system maintains multiple campuses that serve different regions while conducting research activities that attract federal funding and private partnerships. Crime rates and safety factors influence family decisions, with Tennessee maintaining lower crime rates that create safer community environments. Tennessee's total crime rate stands at 16.63 per 1,000 residents, which compares favorably to national averages while providing families with greater security for children and property. Tennessee cities have invested in community policing programs and crime prevention initiatives that maintain safe neighborhoods while supporting economic development. Housing affordability remains competitive in Tennessee despite population growth, while offering better value compared to coastal markets that many new residents leave behind. Tennessee's median home prices have increased with population growth, but remain substantially lower than housing costs in California, New York, and other expensive markets. The absence of state income tax improves housing affordability by increasing disposable income available for mortgage payments and living expenses. Downtown revitalization projects in Tennessee cities have created modern urban environments that attract residents seeking walkable neighborhoods with dining, shopping, and entertainment options within walking distance. Nashville's downtown transformation includes mixed-use developments that combine residential, commercial, and entertainment facilities in cohesive urban districts. Memphis has invested in downtown improvements that leverage the city's musical heritage while creating modern amenities that attract young professionals and empty nesters. These quality-of-life improvements create measurable advantages that attract new residents seeking better living experiences while supporting continued population growth through enhanced residential satisfaction. Yet behind these visible improvements lies a systematic approach to governance and policy-making that has enabled Tennessee to develop and maintain these competitive advantages over decades of consistent implementation. The policy and governance advantage. Tennessee's state government has systematically created a business-friendly environment that contrasts sharply with Kentucky's more traditional regulatory approach to economic development. This fundamental difference in governance philosophy has produced measurable advantages for Tennessee businesses while creating barriers that limit Kentucky's ability to compete for corporate relocations and entrepreneurial ventures. Tennessee prioritizes regulatory streamlining and reduced bureaucratic obstacles, while Kentucky maintains more complex approval processes that increase costs and delays for businesses attempting to establish or expand operations. Permitting processes reveal dramatic differences between the states, with Tennessee implementing streamlined approval systems that reduce timeline uncertainty and administrative costs for businesses. The state established one-stop permitting centers that coordinate multiple agency approvals through single contact points rather than requiring businesses to navigate separate bureaucratic departments independently. Tennessee's permitting reforms include standardized application forms, electronic submission systems, and defined approval timelines that create predictability for business planning purposes. These improvements reduce the time required to obtain construction permits, environmental approvals, and business licenses while minimizing legal costs associated with complex regulatory compliance requirements. Kentucky maintains more traditional permitting approaches that require businesses to interact with multiple state and local agencies through separate application processes that often duplicate information requirements and extend approval timelines. The state's permitting system includes numerous review stages that can delay project approvals for months while creating uncertainty about final approval requirements and associated costs. Businesses evaluating expansion opportunities increasingly factor permitting complexity into location decisions because delays and uncertainty increase project costs while reducing competitive advantages in fast-moving markets. Right-to-work legislation represents another significant policy difference that makes Tennessee more attractive to certain industries while limiting Kentucky's competitiveness in manufacturing and logistics sectors. Tennessee's right-to-work laws prohibit mandatory union membership as a condition of employment, creating flexibility for both employers and workers in labor relationship management. These policies attract manufacturers that prefer avoiding potential labor disputes while providing workers with choices about union participation and dues payments. The legislation particularly appeals to companies relocating from states with mandatory union membership requirements that increase labor costs and reduce operational flexibility. Kentucky lacks comprehensive right-to-work protections, creating potential obstacles for manufacturers evaluating facility locations in competitive industries where labor costs significantly impact profitability margins. The absence of right-to-work legislation can influence corporate location decisions, particularly for companies with existing facilities in right-to-work states that prefer consistent labor policies across multiple locations. Manufacturing companies often cite labor policy consistency as important factors when evaluating potential expansion sites, because different labor regulations between facilities create administrative complexity and potential cost variations. Economic development incentive programs demonstrate Tennessee's strategic approach to business attraction through targeted financial benefits that reduce operating costs for qualifying companies. The state offers performance-based incentives that tie tax credits and grants to actual job creation and investment levels rather than providing upfront payments without accountability measures. Tennessee's incentive programs include workforce training grants that help companies develop skilled workers while reducing training costs that might otherwise discourage business expansion or relocation. The state coordinates incentive packages across multiple agencies to provide comprehensive support that addresses different business needs, from site preparation to employee recruitment. Kentucky operates economic development programs but faces budget constraints that limit incentive availability while creating more complex application processes that reduce program effectiveness. The state's incentive programs often require lengthy approval processes that delay business decision-making while creating uncertainty about final benefit levels. Kentucky's programs typically provide smaller financial benefits compared to Tennessee's more aggressive incentive packages, making the state less competitive when businesses evaluate multiple potential locations. Political stability and consistent policy direction create confidence among businesses and residents that Tennessee will maintain favorable operating conditions over long-term planning horizons. The state government maintains bipartisan support for business-friendly policies that survive changes in political leadership while providing regulatory predictability that supports long-term business investment decisions. Tennessee's political leadership consistently promotes economic development through reduced regulations and competitive tax policies, creating an environment where businesses can make expansion plans without concerns about sudden policy reversals. Workforce development investments demonstrate Tennessee's commitment to creating skilled labor pools that attract employers seeking qualified workers for modern manufacturing and service industries. The state partners with community colleges and technical schools to provide training programs that match employer needs while creating career pathways for workers without college degrees. Tennessee's workforce development programs include apprenticeship opportunities that combine classroom instruction with hands-on experience in growing industries like advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and information technology. Kentucky's workforce development efforts face funding limitations that reduce program scope and effectiveness compared to Tennessee's more comprehensive approach to skills training and career development. The state operates training programs through universities and community colleges, but lacks the coordination and funding levels that make Tennessee's programs attractive to major employers. Kentucky's workforce development initiatives often focus on traditional industries rather than emerging sectors that drive modern economic growth. Small business formation rates reflect the impact of regulatory differences on entrepreneurship, with Tennessee creating more favorable environments for startup companies and independent businesses. The state's streamlined regulations and reduced bureaucratic obstacles encourage business formation while providing support services that help new companies navigate initial operational requirements. Business climate rankings consistently place Tennessee among the top states for regulatory environment, creating measurable advantages that attract entrepreneurs and established companies alike. These systematic policy advantages have created a comprehensive framework that attracts both businesses and residents while establishing Tennessee as a preferred destination for Americans seeking better economic opportunities and living conditions. The cumulative effect of these governance decisions has produced migration patterns that reveal exactly who chooses Tennessee over Kentucky and what drives their relocation decisions. The migration patterns and future trends. Domestic migration data from 2020 to 2024 reveals the specific demographics and motivations driving Tennessee's population surge. The state achieved net domestic migration of 252,180 people, representing a rate of 36.48 per 1,000 inhabitants, that ranked 6th nationally among all states competing for new residents. This influx demonstrates Tennessee's growing magnetism as Americans from diverse geographic regions choose to establish new homes within the state's borders. The consistent upward trend shows 2.1% of Tennessee's current population relocated from other states during this 4-year period, while the state experienced net positive domestic migration from 41 out of 50 states, indicating widespread national appeal that transcends regional boundaries. Illinois, California, and Florida provided the largest numbers of new Tennessee residents, with Illinois contributing 20.9%, California adding 18.7%, and Florida supplying 7.9% of incoming migration flows. This migration pattern reveals Tennessee's ability to attract residents from expensive coastal markets like California and Florida, while drawing substantial numbers from Midwest industrial states like Illinois. The diverse geographic origins suggest Tennessee offers compelling advantages that appeal to Americans leaving high-cost metropolitan areas, seeking better value propositions without sacrificing urban amenities and economic opportunities. California residents often cite Tennessee's absence of state income tax as primary motivation, while Illinois migrants frequently mention lower overall cost of living combined with superior business climate. The Nashville metropolitan area captured 24.6% of the state's net inbound migration, making it the primary destination for newcomers seeking Tennessee's advantages. Knoxville, Chattanooga, Kingsport, Bristol, and Johnson City also experienced substantial domestic migration influxes, demonstrating that Tennessee's appeal extends beyond a single metropolitan area. This distribution of new residents across multiple cities highlights the economic and social opportunities available throughout the state, while preventing excessive concentration that might strain infrastructure or housing markets in any single location. Demographic analysis shows younger educated professionals leading the movement between states, with newcomers to Tennessee metropolitan areas averaging younger ages than existing residents. This pattern indicates the state attracts individuals early in their careers seeking advancement opportunities in growing job markets. College graduates represent disproportionate shares of Tennessee's incoming population, particularly in Nashville and other major metropolitan areas, where technology, healthcare, and financial services companies offer career paths unavailable in smaller regional centers. High-income professionals choose Tennessee specifically to capture tax advantages while maintaining access to cultural amenities and business networks comparable to expensive coastal cities. Remote work arrangements have accelerated Tennessee's population growth by enabling workers to relocate from expensive metropolitan areas while retaining employment with companies based in high-cost regions. The combination of no state income tax, reliable broadband infrastructure, and lower housing costs creates compelling value propositions for remote workers who can maintain California or New York salaries while enjoying Tennessee's reduced living expenses. Technology professionals particularly benefit from this geographic arbitrage opportunity, earning coastal wages while building wealth faster through Tennessee's tax advantages and housing affordability. Climate considerations increasingly influence migration decisions as extreme weather events affect different regions, while Tennessee's geographic position provides relative stability compared to states facing hurricane flooding, drought, or wildfire risks. Tennessee's inland location protects residents from coastal hurricane damage, while the state's elevation and river systems provide natural defenses against flooding that affects lower-lying regions. Climate refugees from California's wildfire zones and Florida's hurricane corridors increasingly consider Tennessee's more stable weather patterns when evaluating relocation destinations. Social media platforms and digital connectivity accelerate awareness of Tennessee's advantages through personal testimonials and viral content that showcase the state's quality of life benefits to national audiences. YouTube channels, Instagram accounts, and TikTok videos featuring Tennessee relocations generate millions of views, while highlighting specific advantages like tax savings, housing affordability, and cultural amenities that motivate interstate migration. Online communities of Tennessee transplants share detailed cost comparisons and lifestyle improvements that provide practical information for potential migrants evaluating relocation decisions. Population projections through 2030 indicate Tennessee will continue widening the demographic gap with Kentucky unless significant policy changes alter current migration trends. Tennessee's growth trajectory suggests the state will exceed 8.5 million residents by 2030, while Kentucky struggles to reach 4.8 million, creating a nearly 4 million person population difference between neighboring states. The Nashville metropolitan area alone may surpass 2.8 million residents by 2030, approaching the current population of Kentucky's entire state. Political implications of continued population shifts include congressional redistricting that favors Tennessee while reducing Kentucky's federal representation and political influence in national elections. Tennessee gained congressional seats in recent reapportionments, while Kentucky lost representation, reflecting the state's divergent population trends that affect federal funding allocation and electoral significance. Presidential candidates increasingly focus campaign attention on Tennessee's growing population, while reducing Kentucky visits and resource allocation, reflecting the state's changing political importance. Economic consequences extend beyond simple population counts to include business location decisions that favor markets with expanding customer bases and growing workforces over regions experiencing demographic stagnation. Tennessee's population growth attracts retail chains, service providers, and professional firms seeking markets with increasing demand, while Kentucky's slower growth limits business expansion opportunities. Regional headquarters relocations from Kentucky to Tennessee reflect corporate preferences for locations with expanding talent pools and customer markets that support long-term growth strategies. Kentucky faces substantial challenges reversing its population disadvantage, given Tennessee's accumulated advantages across multiple policy areas, infrastructure investments, and economic development initiatives. The mathematical challenge of closing a 2.6 million person population gap exceeds typical state policy interventions, while Tennessee continues extending its lead through sustained growth advantages. These migration patterns reveal the cumulative impact of strategic choices made over decades rather than simple geographic luck. The transformation between these states demonstrates how deliberate policy decisions create lasting competitive advantages that compound over generations. Tennessee's population advantage results from decades of strategic choices that created compounding benefits across multiple sectors, including job creation, wage increases, and high-tech industry expansion. These policy decisions transformed natural geographic advantages into sustained competitive benefits that continue attracting new residents and businesses. While geography provided the foundation through superior transportation corridors and energy resources, human choices in tax policy, infrastructure investment, and economic development made the crucial difference between these neighboring states. Kentucky possesses many identical natural advantages, including similar climate terrain and regional positioning, but faces the substantial challenge of overcoming Tennessee's accumulated head start across numerous policy areas that required decades to establish.